No good deed goes unpunished, does it, EA? Hi everyone, and welcome back to The Sims, I guess. Let's talk about the Skintone update. As we all know, The Sims 4 hasn't been a shining example of inclusivity when it comes to skin tones or hair textures. The textures on the skin tones have historically been wonky, and the shade range has left a lot to be desired. Thanks to the swatch system, it's up to EA to give us a good shade range. Unfortunately, since they didn't include sliders or a wheel for skin tones like they did in Sims 3, it's already too late to fix that. I have a feeling changing the input method would be so time consuming and cost so much money that it wouldn't be worth adding a color wheel to the game. To clarify, it probably worked with cats and dogs because they were made with the color wheel from the beginning. Now why that choice was made there and nowhere else, I have no idea. But either way, EA has struggled to provide players with satisfying skin tones, and honestly, this isn't limited to the darkest shades, although those have been the worst offenders by far. If we examine the shade range prior to the most recent update, the mid-tones and even lighter tones were also plagued with weird undertones, and in general, EA made a lot of odd choices. This was obviously a massive problem because, well, if you only have one or two good skin tones to choose from in a life simulation game, it's incredibly frustrating. Players on PC can download custom content, but console players have to rely on EA to release good content. I'm so sorry for you guys, by the way. Enter the promised update. Hundreds of new skin tones with new undertone categories. Given the limitations EA has put on The Sims 4, this is about as good as we are gonna get. If EA can get this right, then everything is going to be fine. And hey, they were even going to work with the game changers and experts. I mean, yay, right? At first glance, this looked like the update of a lifetime, but when I looked at my Twitter feed, I saw a mix of excitement and skepticism. People were really happy, but also waiting for the other shoe to drop. What bugs were going to be in the game this time? What was going to go wrong? What about the game was going to break? Several people said that despite being very excited about this update, they weren't going to update their game until the update for the update was out, and honestly, who can blame them? Every single major update EA has released recently has been a mess. Yeah, we get all this exciting stuff, but suddenly the game is broken for a whole bunch of players, and we're sitting around waiting for it to be fixed. The platforms are temperamental. Having Snowing Escape installed made your game crash. It hasn't been pretty. Fast forward to the day of the update, and it goes about as well as you'd expect. I can tell you right now that the dark skin tones look great in my game. The textures in cast and in-game look much better than they used to on all of the skin tones. That's not the reported results from all players though, and it's especially not the reported results from console players. Lots of console players are reporting problems with crashes and the update not operating properly in general. Further, it took days for my computer to run The Sims well again, and that was infuriating for me. Also, I have a monster of a PC, but fine. They're working on it. They're always working on it. And hey, maybe it is too harsh to expect every massive update to not completely cripple the fucking game. I don't know. I don't design games. What I didn't expect was for the quality control to be limited to the darkest skin tones. Sure, that's what everyone was worried about, and it absolutely should have been the top of their priority list. But scrolling through everything we got, it looks like that's all that they put time into. In a skin tone update that was supposed to fix all of the problems we had with skin tone, that's pretty abysmal. A lot of the neutral tones have this weird gray undertone, which I guess is what neutral's supposed to be in their mind, and the cool tones have this weird purple thing going on. I found several skin tones that are traffic cone orange, and they're not under miscellaneous, by the way, and the palest ones look like the white one that is under miscellaneous. From where I'm standing, it looks like EA has put as little effort as possible into the mid and light tones while trying to skate by on showcasing the dark tones. That's not quality content or promoting representation and inclusion, it's just lazy. The fact that so many of the pale skin tones still look yellow is a quality problem. The fact that the midtones range from bright orange to weird gray is a quality problem. This shouldn't be an issue after the skin tone update, but here we are. Adding insult to injury, EA also launched this update with the genetics bug. When you have a baby, the genetic system is, as far as I understand it, supposed to give the baby the median skin tone between the two parents, regardless of how different the two skin tones are, in case you were wondering. The game is always supposed to do this. Obviously, it not doing this is a big problem, especially following the skin tone update. I do understand that players wanted a more complex genetic system for skin tone, but I also understand why the formula is so simple. The game has a lot to do, so you have to weigh the cost of a more complex genetics formula with the benefits. In real life, the genes behind skin tone are incredibly complex, and children with the same parents can have two completely different skin tones, but in a game that has so much going on, performance is still something that has to be considered. If they can make the formula work like it's supposed to, then it functions just fine for what it is. But genetics in The Sims 4 has always been a clusterfuck because babies are objects and toddlers don't have the same number of options available to them. I know in my game, I'll constantly get kids with random eye colors, hair colors, and skin tones. These issues are just so persistent, it's mind-numbing. So even if, and let's do a Tumblr imagine for a second, even if EA fixes this one bug, we have to ask ourselves, are they really capable of fixing genetics in The Sims 4? And I think we all know the answer to that. The answer is no. They can't even make my Sims sit through a fucking meal. You think I trust them to make a genetic system? I do not. On a possibly more controversial note, let's also discuss EA hiding behind game changers. This is obviously new, but they've done it twice now. This skin tone update and with Snowy Escape. Now, I've got absolutely nothing against the game changers involved in these projects. In fact, I've been watching them for years, and I'm sure their contributions to the game were well-intentioned and exciting for them. All I'll say on this side of things is this. They have careers to think about, and what they decide to put their names behind is their decision. They're adorable YouTubers with great personalities, but they're also adults making careful career choices that they are still responsible for. Okay? Okay. So anyway, EA used to try to hide behind its gurus. By the way, that's why the company turns its developers into social media personalities, even though that's not really what they're trained for. It's to make you like them and to make you feel bad for critiquing the things that they do. Problem is, it's not working as well as it used to. As people get angrier, their sympathy for the gurus just goes down. So now EA has a problem. If they can't hide behind the gurus, who do you hide behind? Enter the Game Changers stage left. You can't get mad at our builds anymore because the Game Changers built them. Yay! And yeah, that went over okay, except when the Game Changers decided to do first look trailer reaction videos. Suddenly, the problem was what it always is: transparency. It's still unclear what the arrangements between EA and the Game Changers, who are contracting for them, employed by them, are. See, we don't actually know. We know they built the houses in Snowy Escape, but we don't know if they were compensated monetarily for working on the project, or if it's the standard, I'm not being paid, I just got the pack early business. If you watch the videos of them discussing the builds, they don't say that line. The only thing they are required by law to disclose is their involvement in the project, which they do, so there's nothing technically shady here. My point is that while we are not entitled to this information, and I'm sure there are non-disclosures running around making it illegal to share this information, we don't know nonetheless. Part of me also wonders if it's part of EA's goal to make it look like the Game Changers weren't paid for their involvement on that project, because maybe they think that that's what YouTube would like, or maybe they would rather it look like a cute little art project that anybody with a YouTube channel could do one day. What is happening here is a complete paradigm shift. Now we have the skin tone update with all its problems. Having these creators work publicly with EA is good, but it also leaves things incredibly murky. For one thing, it puts independent contractors, I'm going to assume that on a business level, that's what they're operating as, who also happen to be beloved public figures, on the hook for EA's products. They're now attached to what happens with these projects, for better and obviously for worse. It's important to keep in mind that we don't know exactly what the creators helping with the skin tones were actually consulted on, how much of their input actually made it into the final update. But again, that's why EA hiding behind these content creators is pretty weak sauce. Sure, it's a good marketing move, but it's just as easy to hire independent consultants who know a lot about configuring skin tones and textures in video games, and hell, maybe they did that too. Either way, from my perspective, It feels like they're trying to give Game Changers the role of gurus from a PR standpoint. You can't be mad at this. Someone you really like worked really hard. This is part of what makes The Sims 4 so hard to talk about these days. As the Game Changers we all really like become more and more involved with the game, now we have to, by default, criticize something they worked on. EA knows what they're doing, and I'm sure someone in the marketing department got a really nice bonus for coming up with this idea. It also goes without saying that this makes it harder and harder to trust reviews of packs or even overviews of updates from Game Changers. I saw some of them completely gloss over traffic cone orange skin tones and the ones that were yellow. They reacted, but they didn't say anything. As a viewer, I have to wonder why. If I'm being completely honest about the skin tone update, this is what I have to say. There are a lot of bugs. The homepage is vomit-inducing. Console players are dealing with more bugs than PC players. The dark skin tones look great, though some people have reported persistent texture issues. The makeup sliders are awesome, and why the fuck are there gray, purple, yellow, orange, and blinding white skin tones? It's that easy. If I hadn't watched them make faces at the jaundice yellow skin tones and traffic orange skin tones, I wouldn't be saying this, but I did watch it. Of course, I can't completely blame them. Working with EA affords them career opportunities they wouldn't have otherwise, but it is important that their viewers know what's going on. When you enter a relationship with a company, you can't say whatever you want. A power dynamic has been established, and the company that giveth can now taketh away. EA gives them the ability to put videos up about a pack before it's released, and that's huge. EA is also now giving them work opportunities that are probably more stable and lucrative than YouTube. Now, that's only speculation, but based on what I know about contracting and the possible deals they could have made, that would be my guess. So am I saying that you can't really rely on Game Changers for completely honest opinions? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And yeah, sure, you'll get my honest opinion, but I don't fucking matter. If you want to know if something is good or not, I suggest you checking comments and talking to each other. Personally, I'm always on the lookout for LGR reviews because he isn't part of EA Game Changers, and I want to know what chairs there are in a pack, okay? But with the way that all of this has gone, it's very clear that EA has done a good job of corporatizing YouTube and making the Game Changers, I don't know, at least appear like they're puppets. Maybe they're not, and maybe we're all wrong, but that's at least what it looks like. And I don't think that's gonna change anytime soon. I mean, on more than one occasion, a couple of them have said that they can actually talk to the gurus about what should be put into the game, and so, you know, like everyone else in this community, all I want is for The Sims 4 to get better. I want the game to be good, and I want The Sims 5 to be a good game. And honestly, I'm ready to move on. I know that's a dead talking point, but here we are. The Sims 5 seems to be a long way off, and honestly, we have no idea what we're gonna get when we get there. But at this point, it feels like The Sims 4 is too broken to fix. And looking around at the climate on YouTube and with the Game Changers and with how EA is treating everything, hell, who knows what's going to happen. I think the best that we can hope for is that we get some competition to The Sims, because honestly, that is the best case scenario. Because what The Sims actually needs is a real reason to be better, but more on that in another video probably. But hey, if you made it this far, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about this update in the comments down below. Everywhere else you can find me on the internet is linked in the description. My gallery ID is also down there if you want to go check that out. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.